Four ways that the New York Jets defense could be different under new head coach Aaron Glenn and his staff than it was under Rob Saleh and company. Number one is going to be more blitzing. I mean, this is going to be the case no matter who the Jets hired in 2022, 23, and 24. The New York Jets were bottom five in blitz percentage in the league. And for a lot of that time, it did work for them. But these two men just have different philosophies. They're both good defensive coordinators, but just diametrically opposed in this area more than any other. The Lions last 2 years, top 10 in blitz percentage, 2023 and 2024. So I think you could see some untapped potential with non-defensive lineman blitzers. Quincy Williams and Jamie Sherwood were both in the top 12 among off-ball linebackers with enough snaps to qualify last year in terms of the percentage of pressures they would get per blitz rep. Both in the top 12, only two off-ball linebackers who were teammates in the top 12. Michael Carter, he was ninth among corners in that stat last year. Brandon Stevens was second. On a small sample size, he didn't even have 10 blitzes, but on a small sample size, Brandon Stevens was very effective as a blitzer. Tony Adams actually was the single worst safety at blitzing last year. But the Jets definitely have potential to definitely be a plus team in terms of, I guess if I had to pick a random sneaky snap for them to lead the league in, the Jets could lead the league in sacks by non-defensive linemen. This upcoming season, they're going to blitz a lot more, and I think they have personnel that is conducive to it. Number two, emphasis on the run. Robert Saleh, in both the way that he constructed rosters and deployed personnel, was much more willing to make a trade-off to have mid-run defense to be excellent at rushing the passer, whereas Aaron Glenn, a little bit more balanced. Aaron Glenn likes to roster traditional one techniques, like run stuff in defensive tackles. That wasn't really a thing before. Just in terms of the size of the defensive ends that they had in Detroit and the linebackers like Kiko that they drafted. It's a prototypical 2003 size linebacker. I don't think you're going to see 218-pound converted safeties to linebacker drafted under Aaron Glenn, although it worked with Jamie and Sherwood, right? Not taking anything away from him. Aaron Glenn re-signed him. He's happy to have him. Even Will McDonald. I'm sure Aaron Glenn is thrilled to have Will McDonald because he's so damn talented. But I don't know if the Jets will draft a 238-pound edge under Aaron Glenn. So a little bit more size there. You got your prototypical run stuffing tackles and likes to deploy a three linebacker look, a true base 4-3 defense. Now, obviously, everyone lives in nickel more often than not, but you will see a third linebacker on the field more than we did in previous years. That's why that linebacker 3 is not just a backup role. It's a role player, sub-package player. And I think Malagoa could be the guy for that role, which would be awesome as a 5th-round pick rookie. Stick him in there, whatever, 22% of the snaps, and let's go. So that's number 2. Number 3, more press coverage and more cover one, because Aaron Glenn does those things more than anybody in the NFL. Now, this is assuming that it's Glenn coverage principles, because Wilkes is different. Wilkes a lot more cover 3, cover 4. So that's just my assumption that it's going to be Glenn coverage principles. Could be wrong. We'll see. But if it is Glenn, last year the Lions had at least one corner in a press man assignment, 81% of their snaps, number 1 in the NFL, also number 1 in the NFL in how often they used cover 1, which is just a hat on 5 eligibles and one guy deep. Everybody else getting after the quarterback. Very, very simple defense. Number 4, Aaron Glenn has shown more of a willingness to have his corners shadow specific receivers, where with Saleh and Ulbrich, it was just left corner, right corner. But even the last game of the regular season last year, when the Lions beat down the Vikings, Glenn had Amik Robertson shadow Justin Jefferson for the whole game. Pretty much 35 of 42 routes run by Jefferson, Robertson was on him, and that included left corner, right corner, nickel. So he followed him all over the field while doing so and only gave up 2 catches on those 35 assignments. So it worked. And I think that is something with Sauce. We bring up the $30 million a year, which is, it's really like a 2-year, $52 million extension if you look at the details. But it's still pricey. And I know he's got to get better at tackling. He has to find a way to pull down 2 or 3 interceptions. And I'm sure Sauce will tell you that as well. Like, a lot of these guys got to get better. Look, Garrett got 35 whatever million. Garrett had 8 drops last year. He has to get better. Quinnen has to be better against the run than he was last year. So just because you're really good and you're really highly paid doesn't mean that you still can't get better. He's got to get better at those things, no doubt. But to me, to justify signing a corner to that level of financial commitment, that percentage of your cap, you can't allow the defense just to, I'm going to put my number one receiver in motion and get him away from Sauce, and not allow him to impact the game that much as a 27 and a half whatever $1 million asset. He's gotta go with the number ones, especially in like crucial third downs. They know you're in cover one anyway, coach. They have they have next gen stats just like I do. They know you're in cover one. So I think that was and look, Salah, he had some really good defenses, man. Not taking anything away from him, but I think that was one thing where it's like you have this guy in Sauce who, if you look at just again, okay, missed tackles, picks, I get it. But if you look at any number that tracks the ability of a corner to prevent a wide receiver from getting open and catching the football, which is the primary job of a corner, Sauce Gardner has done that as well as anybody in the NFL since he's come into the league. So I'm really hoping that we can get the most out of him by you're covering the number one receiver, especially on gotta have it third downs. And we do have some evidence that Aaron Glenn will be more willing to do that. Those are the four ways the defense could be different, and we will talk all soon.